And good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Lynch. I'm the city manager here in the city of Newton Falls, Ohio, and this is our morning COVID-19 morning briefing. We do this every morning so you have an understanding of not just what's happening in the Buckeye State, but what's happening here in our local Newton Falls area. We want people to know that there are nuances that they should understand and maybe a better understanding of the way the COVID-19 virus is affecting people in Newton Falls, our businesses, our neighbors, and the way that things are functioning. And there's something exciting to report today. Here in Newton Falls, we are happy to report that the order that was having us have it be a mandatory requirement to wear masks if you're a customer in a store has a date upon which it is going to change. That is, where it's no longer mandatory in Newton Falls. And that date where it is not mandatory to wear a mask in Newton Falls is the date of May 15th. That is right, May 15th, just a week from today. So folks, you've been patient. More than that, you've shown that you love each other by wearing those masks so you don't expel those molecules onto other people. Now, the masks will remain recommended, highly recommended, but the science is telling us that the flattening of the curve, and that's what we've been waiting for, are indications when it's all right for us to make some changes. So we're excited about that, and I will say something else. You in Newton Falls have been a grand participant in the idea of protecting one another. In fact, we've done a little montage of folks that are wearing their masks here in the wonderful land of Newton Falls.
I was shopping one day in Newton Falls when COVID-19 entered our halls. This brave little village, this covered bridge town, they stopped the virus and knocked it down. They wore the COVID mask. It's such a simple task. It's all that I ask. Please wear the COVID mask. Mazzaros and Funk said, fire this guy. Most people said, don't even try. The mayor said, hold it, he's good for the city. We know the truth, Corona's not pretty. They wore the COVID mask. It's such a simple task. It's all that I ask. Please wear the COVID mask. Wear them about when you're in the store, and coronavirus will be no more. Well, here's a town that's there for you. With this kind of spirit, the COVID is through. Citizens united and wore them with pride. They knew they had science and God on their side. Who's that quiet man in the back? It's only Councilman Mariak. They wore the COVID mask. It's such a simple task. It's really all that I ask. Please wear the COVID mask.
All right, well, that's just a little glimpse of the way people are wearing those masks in Newton Falls to help each other. That is, they show that they care. We'll have some other pictures of that in future morning briefings, but thank you, Newton Falls, for what you've been doing. And speaking of thanking people, leaders throughout Northeast Ohio have really been making sure their communities are safe. And one of the dear friend neighbors that we have in our community is the city of Warren, Ohio. And I'm very proud to have on the line right now, on the live line, the mayor of Warren, Ohio, Doug Franklin. Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. How are you today?
Great, great. Hey, thanks so much for coming on with us. COVID-19 has affected cities throughout Trumbull County, Mahoning Valley. What's going on in Warren that you're seeing that you're having to do differently during the COVID-19?
Well, thanks, Dave, for that question, and thanks for having me on. Practically everything that we do, we're doing differently. as opposed to pre-COVID-19. So we're, first and foremost, we're a service agency. So our number one charge hasn't changed. Government really can't close. So we're focusing on delivering quality services that, in a safe, proficient way. And we're also making sure that our workplace is safe as well, and educating the public at the same time. And
Sure.
needless to mention, and I know you know this in Newton Falls, trying to make budget preparations for an anticipated loss in revenue.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what's been going on, and you probably share my frustration that when I saw Mitch McConnell say, "Well, we can print all the money we want to because we're the federal government, but we expect the cities just to go into bankruptcy." I don't know.
Yeah.
It got my blood boiling, Mayor.
Well, absolutely. Can you just imagine what that would do for the national economy? Even though it's kind of an irresponsible statement, just
Yeah.
given the fact that, they can print money, but we have to take the burden of that deficit
Yeah.
and pretty much go bankrupt. And that's not good for our local communities, nor is it good for the nation as a whole.
Well, Mayor,
So
what was go ahead.
I was very disappointed with that.
Yeah, well, what's frustrating to me too is that the reason we're suffering a revenue reduction is because we're obeying the orders the federal and state government are giving us. It's like they
Yes.
want to punish us for being compliant.
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic. We're starting to reopen at a pace where we're not even meeting the guidelines set out by the federal government, which
Yeah.
is a major health concern for all of us.
Yeah, that's right. Mayor, one of the other things that Warren has done pretty effectively is having your meetings conducted in a way where the public really still has full access. Can you tell people how you've done that?
Well, yeah, we depended on our technical people in our IT department, and they've done a great job in making sure that we stay connected and wiring in the public as well, so that they could at least listen to those meetings and they can forward their comments and questions later. So that's sort of a substitute to our public hearing section of our regular council meetings, but it's working pretty effectively.
Oh, that's great. Mayor, it's been a big topic in Newton Falls. How is the public reacting to the idea of protecting each other by wearing masks? They've been pretty good in Warren?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with what I see around the town regarding the wearing of masks. In fact, I'm really looking forward to looking at the last piece you showed with your citizens wearing the mask. I think I'm going to go to it right after we get off the phone. But yeah, our compliance has been pretty great, and we are doing that. We are looking out for one another. But
Sure.
I think what often gets missed, and I'm glad to be talking to our neighboring community, because this virus doesn't respect political boundaries, and we are so close that we all need to be on the same page in some of the precautions we're taking from a public safety standpoint. So we want all of our neighbors to sort of participate and do the same things, because we are connected, and more than now than ever, we're connected to each other and we need each other.
Well, we sure do, Mayor. And the other thing I've noticed Warren has done very effectively is you've gone on shifts so that you don't
Yes.
have an entire department exposed to the virus at one time, but that carries with it the burden of limiting your ability to deliver the same amount of service as if you had a full team on the field.
Yeah, one of the early challenges that we identified was particularly with our fire department, where we have 3 outside stations.
Oh, my.
And normally they are three stations, 1 central, 2 outside. And normally some of those turns that work on a fire department would interact with other stations. So we made sure that we segregated each turn to each station, so that if there was someone with the virus, there wouldn't be any possible way of cross-contamination. And I think that's worked pretty effectively to date. We've had some with some symptoms, but there were no cases found in our fire department nor throughout our workforce. And that also started with us sanitizing probably on March 13th, every single building in our community. Everything publicly owned building.
Wow. Well, Mayor, very briefly before we close out here this morning, How has this affected you on a personal level with your family?
Well, we're getting to know each other a lot better. We're probably getting on each other's nerves like a lot of families. But, I think the silver lining from a human standpoint is it has caused all of us, particularly our families, to prioritize what's important in life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more important than our health. So I think this virus has driven that fact home and made us really value and not take for granted some of the things we took for granted every single day
Boy,
in the past. So
amen to that.
there's a silver lining at the end of every rainbow, I guess you could say. And
Yeah.
This isn't a rainbow, but there is some quality lessons that we can all learn from this.
Sure, sure. Well, I think some people are turning back to God as well, Mayor.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think I think you're probably experiencing some of this. We always try to emphasize the people to take care of their mental health as well through this process, because there are a lot of people who live alone, who are isolated anyway. We try to ask neighbors to be neighborly in a safe way. If you're, just for instance, if your neighbor needs groceries, we ask you to go get them for them and maybe leave them on their porch. Just do things
Sure.
smartly, but make sure that we stay in contact with each other. We have a saying, share your smile, not your space. We try to stick to that.
Do you mind if I take use of that? That's great. Share your smile, not your
Yes,
space.
you
Can
can
we
share.
take that?
It's not mine. One thing us mayors are good at, if there's a good idea out there, we take it.
That's great, Mayor. Well, thanks so much, Mayor Doug
Thanks for having
Franklin.
me.
Yeah, have a great day and good health to your family, sir.
You the same, Dave, and be safe.
All right, thanks so much. That's Doug Franklin, the mayor of Warren, Ohio, and one of the great gentlemen in politics. And as you can tell from what they've been doing in Warren, one of the great leaders in Northeast Ohio. And what a delight it is to have him participate in the program and let us know what's going on in Warren. Well, we're going to get back to Newton Falls because our next live line guest is one of the most familiar fixtures in town, John Thompson. He's going to talk to us. Hi, John. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. John, everybody in Newton Falls knows you, sees you about, but the COVID-19 has kind of restricted you to campus, and we haven't seen as much of you. John, how are you faring these days being sheltered in like this?
It's kind of difficult because I'm a very active person and I like to be around people, but due to the fact that the COVID-19 is, it's very difficult to forget, remember that I always have to stay 6 to 10 feet away from somebody. And it's just like being, you're still with your friends and all that, but it's like I'm a very sociable person. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah, well,
taking it
all
home.
over town, everybody's seen you wheeling around town, up and down Broad Street and Milton, and we're anxious to see you out there again. John, how are you doing in terms of keeping active? Because right now you're over at the Country Club facility, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so do you still have the opportunity to move around, at least on the interior part of that campus?
Yes, sir. I also have the opportunity to go outside on the campus
Oh,
and
that's terrific.
run around on the sidewalks in the back of the campus and the all three parking lots.
Oh, that's outstanding. Now, John, they told us the other day that to keep things somewhat exciting over at Country Club, they have something every day called a happy hour, and we never really did find out what that's about. Do you think you could tell us the secret of happy hour?
Well, yeah, it's actually once a week,
Okay.
and it's on Thursday afternoons,
All right.
and we have snacks and trivia, and some of us have non-alcoholic beverages, and like yesterday, somebody bought a pizza
Mm-hmm.
for us and delivered it. and we had a pizza and our beverages and our trivia, and that takes about an hour.
Something tells me you're pretty good in the trivia category from what I know about you. Is that true?
I try.
Okay. John, by the way, the folks over at Country Club, you have that happy hour. What time is that on Thursdays?
2 p.m.
2 o'clock. So if anybody wants to drop over any tantalizing food items for use by the residents over at Country Club, you'd probably appreciate it, wouldn't you?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, you know, John, just hearing your voice during this COVID-19 situation is real inspiration for us. That's why I wanted to have you on this program, because during our regular non-COVID situation, you're an inspiration to everybody in the community. There's probably nobody in the Newton Falls area that hasn't seen you around town. You always have a smile on your face and a great conversation to have. So, John, during this period of time, I want you to know that we're all thinking of you, and can't wait for the time when you can emerge from your cocoon and be part of our lives again. So thanks for coming on the program today.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks so much. That's John Thompson, who is really, I would say, one of the favorite sons of Newton Falls. It's just not Newton Falls or day in Newton Falls until you have a chance to see John Thompson wheeling around town. Well, folks, we've had a lot of interesting things happening. Perhaps most exciting is the fact that you now know the date, May 15th. It's the date when the masks are not mandatory for customers here at Newton Falls. And so that means you've got one more week of protecting each other on a mandatory basis. And keep an eye on what's happening out of Columbus, Dr. Acton's information as well, because they are continuing to say that the masks are recommended, highly recommended. And by the way, it's just common sense. If you want molecular materials to be blocked from going from point A to point B, put a barrier between point A and point B. That is, use the mask. So continue to wear the masks on a mandatory basis in Newton Falls until May 15th. And then I would highly recommend that you do so. Restaurants are going to be able to serve on an outside basis, according to state law, beginning May 12th. The barbershops and salons are opening up on May 15th. That's how we timed our date. And on May 21, the restaurants with limited guidelines will be able to serve indoors. So things are changing and things are getting better right here in Newton Falls. So as I say at the conclusion each time, God bless America and God bless Newton Falls.